This is an overview of how to get into the tax software for the fundamentals course and how to do, we're going to do an example problem. So if you're logged into Moodle, I'm going to first show you how to access the book. So you're going to click Cengage Now, and that's going to bring up this. It's going to look slightly different because I have the instructor's model, but you'll see assignments and you'll see study tools. So you're going to click Study Tools, and then you're going to click e-textbook, and this will bring you to the web reader for this textbook. All right, so we're going to go to chapter 1, problems. So this is where I'm going to assign the homework from. So we're going to go to chapter 1, problems, and then we're going to scroll down here, and the tax problems are at the very end. So there's writing assignment, and then tax problems, CP01A, 1A, 1B, and then 2A and 2B, okay? So I'm going to go back to Moodle and show you how to get into ProTax Connect. Here is a link for ProTax Connect software. You're going to create a username. It'll tie to your cell phone as a link. And when you get in, I already logged in because I don't need to create a username. It's going to look like this. So welcome to ProTax Connect, right? I called it Elms class. And you're going to click on tax returns. So as you can see in 2025, there are no tax returns. We're not going to e-file anything, of course. This is just false tax returns. It's free to prep it here without filing it, and I'll show you how to export that. All right. So I am going to go back to here and pull up this software, the Tax Connect software, and I just need to move my book so I can see the problem. So yes, I do have 2 screens, so that makes it easier to see the book. Okay. So I'm going to do tax return in the book as an example. You're doing the first problem as homework. So I'm going to start with problem 2A. So Rochelle and Dallas are married filing joint in 2025, right? So this is where I'm reading the tax problem from. They are marrying filing joint, right? This is a cumulative tax problem. Here we are. Rochelle and Dallas Land are married filing joint. Rochelle's social security number, her date of birth, Dallas's social security number, her date of birth. Rochelle did not work and Dallas worked for her teaching job, and it showed no tips or overtime. So this is her W-2. We have box 1. So I'm going to get rid of this and get a little closer, right? It's a little blurry, but so what we have here when we're looking at this tax return or tax form, this is a W-2. You've probably seen this. And we have the employee's social security number and the employer's social security number. We have the employer name, the employee's name. We have their wages. So this is taxable wages, box 1. This is how much they had withheld for the federal income tax. Box 3 is Social Security. Sometimes these numbers are different because you're putting it away to some sort of retirement plan or some other pre-tax item, but you would be taxed on Social Security. Or you have Social Security maxed out, so they would be different. This is how much you had withheld in Social Security. This is Medicare. This is how much you had withheld in Medicare. They checked the box for retirement, but in box 12, I don't see that they put any money into retirement. They are in Texas, which has no state income tax. By the way, we're only doing federal tax in this class. We will not cover state income tax. I will talk a little bit about a handful of things that are deductible in Massachusetts or Connecticut, and I will make reference, but we won't prep any of that in this class. Okay. It also says that Rochelle and Dallas have a son for whom they provide more than half the support. They give a date of birth, living with them, not a full-time student, and generates $5,100 in gross income. Okay, so this is getting to the idea of whether or not the taxpayer qualifies for as a dependent. So if they are not a student and they are 2005, they are this old, then they can't be the child tax credit, which we talk about in another form. So, so that's all that's going on. So I think first I'm going to open up the tax software and show you how to start a tax return. And then we'll talk about whether or not the child qualifies. Okay, so I'm going to move this screen. And we are going to create a new tax return. I actually prepped the 2024 tax return for this client, so therefore it would be in here, but you didn't, so you would hit add new. I used this book previously. And you would just type in their individual name. Let me actually. Okay, so we get here, I typed Rochelle first because Rochelle was listed, and I'm going to hit input on return. So I'm going to go to the client information, and you're going to choose that they were a Texas resident. And let's see, so Rochelle and Dallas are married filing joint. So you're going to choose married filing joint number 2. We have Rochelle's information, which is going to come from the textbook. So you're just going to type in here, Rochelle, her last name, Land, and her social security number. So in the book, because I already had this client, they change their dates of birth all the time. So date of birth 1479. And then the spouse's name, Dallas, Land. We're going to put the spouse's social security number, 367-128972. And then date of birth, July. By the way, if they just tell you how old they are, July 7th, 1980, then you just put in how old they are. All right. And then we're going to put in their address, 23 Walnut, floor 2, Dallas, Texas. We don't need any of the rest of this stuff. This is just for e-filing, which we're not going to do. Okay, so let's talk about the rules for a dependent. So if their dependent was born in 2005, in 2025, they would be 20 years old. Okay, so the rule for somebody who is not in college, right? So not a full-time student, right? Between the ages of 18, 19, and 23. If they're not a full-time student, they have to make under the exemption amount. Now, the exemption went away, we know, in 2018, but you can look up how much the other dependent amount of income. So in 2025, the other dependent amount of income, it must be less than $5,200. And it says that they provide more than half the support. They gave a date of birth, is not a full-time student, but only generated $5,100. So they do qualify for this other dependent credit. So to add a dependent, we are going to go to the dependent tab on the left, and we're going to add them. Date of birth, 12/21/2005. Social security number. And relationship, child's, right? Child living with the taxpayer for 12 months. And they are not a student age 19. So one applicable. Okay. But they are over that age, but they are not a student. If they were a student, for them to get full credits, we would need to select student 19 to 23. Okay. All right, so now we are going to go to the income tab where you can see here we're going to enter the W-2. So Dallas has an employer. So it's not a real EIN, so you have to type everything in. So we're just going to type that. That's why it says it can't find it. Dallas Independent School District. We have the address of that. You would just type that address in. And then this is where we're going to hit the W-2. So is this the spouse's W-2? So yes, spouse's W-2. Rochelle did not work. So you have to check this button to assign the W-2 to the EIN of the spouse. Spouse is second person on the tax return. All right, so we have 57,770. By the way, they only round to whole dollars. So you can type it in and it will round, or you can just type it in. This is box 2, federal income tax. If this number was different, we would change that. We're going to go down here and check that they have a retirement plan or access to one. They don't have any retirement plan. And if they had state and local wages, box 16, and withholding, which Texas doesn't have, you would put it down here. So if they were Massachusetts or a state employee that has withholding, you would put it here. Okay, so the only other thing which we haven't talked about in the slides or the book yet is an educator deduction. Let me see here. Dallas is a teacher, but it doesn't say that she has any education expenses, which we talk about in another scenario. So talking about if they don't have mortgage interest or own a house and have all that, then they're going to take the standard deduction, right? So I'm going to go, this is literally all they have. I'm going to go check the return. And I go to the forms and I'm going to go to the US and I'm going to look at this. And I'm going to go to the 1040 and see what it looks like. So we have Rochelle and Dallas. They are married filing joint. They have a dependent. They are in the US, so I might need to make a change to that. Let me see if they got the credit. All right, so they have 57,700 in wages. The standard deduction for married filing joint without being over 65 or blind or having anything else is 31,500. So their taxable income is 26,200. The tax on that, which is calculating in the software, is 26,700. They are getting a credit of 500 for their child, which is an other dependent credit, not the child tax credit, because they're over the age of 17, they're 17 and older. They had 3,758 withheld, so this is how much they paid in. This is how much they owe, so they are getting a refund of $1,588. Okay, so this is good to go. You don't need to worry about these federal diagnostics or anything like that because we're not doing that. When you go to file return, this is how you're going to print one and save it for me. Print to PDF. So create the PDF. So what's going to happen is you're going to hit print to PDF and then it's going to download the PDF. Do not file. That's fine that it's marked that. And you are going to save this and upload this to Moodle. That's how you do the homework. So this is an example of the chapter 1 problem that looks similar to what you're going to do.